Alright, so welcome back to the channel, and if you guys are new here, this is going to be a video of why you don't run fender flares on a truck. I understand if they're factory flares or something like that. That's understandable. That's okay. It is what it is. But I'm going to show you why, in my opinion, you should not run fender flares on your truck in any sort of aftermarket. I do not believe there's any advantage to them. I don't see why you should ever do it, regardless of how wide your wheels are. I don't think it should ever be an option for your paint. It just ruins it. Coming from a detailing aspect, it just trashes the paint. And even if you got a piece of rubber between there, you're gonna leave lines in the paint, and rust is going to happen, and that's just the unfortunate truth. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at my 2005 Dodge and show you guys why you should leave the fender flares off and not even think about it. So as you can see, we've got some 20 by 12 wheels on a set of 305s. It sits pretty decent. I mean, it's not crazy wide, nothing like my 14s or anything. But you guys, we're just gonna look. You can kind of see if you can see the line. I don't know if it'll focus, but there's a line right here from the flare itself. Luckily, I'm a detailer. I mean, I can fix paint. I've wet sanded a lot of vehicles. You can see right there, there's a mark. But yeah, here's the rock chips anyway, whether the flares are on there or not. Still rock chipped. I live on a lot of gravel, as most of you guys know. I mean, anywhere around here is going to be gravel except for the in-town city streets. But once you're outside city limits, you can go straight to gravel. Yeah, here's a good example. This truck's had two different sets of fender flares on it. It's had those giant, ugly bushwhacker ones with the fake bolts, and that's what left this mark. And then you can see right here, here's another mark that's on a different kind of angle, and they were my low pro fender flares. I did not put any of these on. I would never put fender flares on a truck. And this is what happened with one winter of fender flares. Just one. I understand this is common on these third gens, but it's not a coincidence that this truck went this long. And almost every other time I wash it, take the taillights out and power wash out inside of here to make sure the rocks don't get built up in there, because that's what the #1 cause is. And yeah, it still happened, which is insane to me. But yeah, I mean, you can see the rock chips. Those were there before the flares, with the flares. They've always been there. And the rock chips back here, even with flares, they're still going to be there. If you want a wider look to your truck, then, I mean, you put wide wheels on it because you like the way it sits, the way it looks. I mean, makes it have a nice, decent stance, whatever you want to call it. And then you put these giant 2-inch bushwhacker fender flares on there, then what's the point of putting wheels on it? I mean, you really just defeated the purpose of doing any of that. So, 1, it trashes your paint. 2, it can cause rust very easily. I know majority of them do. Some factory flares, they do them correctly, and they don't. And 3, if you have stock wheels and put flares on it, it looks awful. And if you have offset wheels that stick out wider and you put flares on it, you just defeated the point in your expensive wheels. So that is why you don't run fender flares. I mean, I cannot think of one reason to run them. Some of you guys live in some, no offense, crappy states where they don't want the wheels to stick outside the fender, which is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. And then they say you can either put fender flares on them or put the stock wheels back on, and you put fender flares on them, and that's just pretty unfortunate, because I mean, that's going to ruin your vehicle, which if you live up in the Northeast where most of that is enforced, you're going to have rust in no time anyway, if you don't take care of your vehicle. I've been up there for a couple months, or had to be up there over one summer, and I experienced some of the people's vehicles, and they explained to me why everybody drove new vehicles, and it's because everything rusts after 5 years. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on why you should not run fender flares on any truck. This was a really clean truck, super low miles whenever it got around here, and it had those flares on it, and the paint was already rubbed raw because of the flares. Some companies put some little rubber molding in between the flare and the paint, Still looks bad, still traps in moisture, the whole 9 yards. I mean, people put flares on to cover stuff up, and if you're buying a truck, that's a good thing to watch out for. If they threw flares on it and the rest of the truck looks super clean, it's because there's rust under there. Whether you want to admit it or not, it's 100% because there's rust under there. So, yeah, it's just a bad way of doing things. So with this truck, I'm gonna fix the marks up here, but the rust back there, I'm gonna have to get fixed. So it'll be going to my local paint shop at some point in time to get that fixed because I'm very picky about that. And yeah, so there's a quick short video on why I don't think you should run flares of the aftermarket sort or kind on whatever truck you've got or vehicle you've got, because it's going to ruin them. There's very few people out there that like the looks of flares, so if you're one of them, no offense to you, just ignore this video, but that's my 2 cents on why you shouldn't run them from a detailing aspect and from an owner's aspect and from personal experience. It just really sucks that whenever your paint gets beat up this bad. Luckily, I know how to fix it, and we'll get this thing looking right, but it's very unfortunate. So, till next time, we will be right here on the Old School Crew for another video, but we're gonna try and fix the truck or not real quick, but it'll take some time. So, yeah, don't run fender flares, and that's why. See you guys.